Welcome to Married with Gaming. I'm Jen. He's Mike. Let's roll some dice. Welcome to Married with Gaming. I'm Jen, and today I'm going to be going over the basic combat rules for Pirate Borg, the RPG. We did an unboxing to that a week or so ago, and we've been playing it since then, and we wanted to kind of go over quickly the basics of the combat for that system, and then Mike will join us and we will go over our thoughts. So the basic flow of combat is when an encounter is revealed, the hero or heroes will roll a d6 for initiative. If the roll is a 1 to 3, the foe goes first. If the roll is a 4 to 6, the heroes or pirates go first. For hero actions, if a hero wants to make an attack against an enemy, they're going to roll a d6 against a DR or difficulty rating. The difficulty rating standard is a 12. So depending on the type of attack that you're going to roll, you add a different bonus. This game has 5 stats: strength, presence, spirit, toughness, and agility. For a melee attack, you'll roll a d20 plus your strength. For a ranged attack, you will roll a d20 plus your presence. And for a casting, like a spell, you will roll a d20 plus your spirit bonus if necessary. If your roll is equal to or above the difficulty rating, then that attack hits. You will roll your weapon damage with no bonuses. Then the enemy, if you hit, will roll their armor rating to reduce that damage. For enemy actions, if a foe is going to attack the character, the hero would roll a d20 plus their agility bonus to defend or avoid that attack against that difficulty rating or DR. If the roll is equal to the DR or higher, the hero will successfully defend or avoid that attack. If the roll is less than the DR, the hero is hit, the enemy rolls their damage, and the hero will roll their armor rating, if they have any, to reduce that damage. And that is basic combat in a nutshell. Some of the caveats of that are, first of all, armor does not work against black powder weapons. So no armor reduction when you are hit by a black powder weapon. Also, most pirates are not going to be wearing armor because pirates didn't wear armor as a general rule. Others are, you have a Devil's Luck score. Every player starts with a Devil's Luck score. You may spend a Devil's Luck point at any time to do max damage on an attack, reroll anything, even another player's roll or an enemy's roll, reduce damage to yourself by a d6, reduce a DR by 4 for 1 test, or cancel a crit or fumble. Once your Devil's Luck is depleted, after resting for 6 hours, you would roll your class die to regain that much Devil's Luck. Crits and fumbles. Crits and fumbles are natural or raw 20s or 1s. For attacks, if the attack is a crit, the attack does 2 times the damage and then reduces the armor of the enemy by 1 tier. For a critical defense, hero will get a free attack on that person that was trying to attack them. For fumbles, for an attack, your weapon breaks, misfires, or is lost. For defending, your hero would take 2 times the damage and then their armor is reduced by 1 tier. If it's a black powder weapon and you have a fumble, it will misfire, and you will roll a d6 to find out the result of that misfire. That could be you take damage, or it could break the weapon. For spells and arcane rituals, they generally have the crit and fumble results listed in that description of the ritual or the spell. And there is a magical mishaps fumble chart that some spells are applicable to use. Also, death here in Pirate Borg. When a player reaches 0 hit points, they roll a d6 and they determine what the result of hitting 0 is. It could be on a 1, that is immediate death. On a 6, it is a more minor effect, but still losing some consciousness, losing some hit points, and things like that. If at any time you are at -1 hit points or any number negative hit points, it is immediate death. And that's it. There's no death saves or anything like that. So it's a pretty straightforward system. So after spending some time running combats, what are your thoughts on the Pirate Borg combat system?
Well, it's easy to see that it's a very lethal system.
It does feel very dangerous.
So you only want to probably get into very few fights, and fights that you feel confident that you might have the upper hand. So that's kind of old school in that respect. It seems to have a very engaging combat system for the player, because the player is doing most of the roles. So it would force the character to pay attention, and it would be on them to kind of narrate not only how they're attacking as usual, but also narrate how they're defending.
Yeah, that was a little bit different for me. You had to keep reminding me to, how do you defend that?
Well, I think it keeps the player's head in the game. They don't zone out. Or
it also feels way more fast paced because of that, because you're constantly engaged in the rolling.
Yeah, because as a game master, I would be describing like you're on the ship, and the tentacles of the Leviathan start coming up over the side of it, and then initiative be determined. Player might take a swipe, and then I would say the tentacle reaches out towards you to grab you, and then you'd have to retaliate really quick and say, make a defense roll. And then narrate it, whether you slash the tentacle and it recoils or you sidestep it.
Yeah.
So it keeps it just, I think, moving forward kind of at a good pace. The Devil's Luck, that part, that has a lot more things to use in play than what like a 5th edition inspiration would have, or just a simple reroll token.
It also refreshes, which is nice, because then you'll always have it, where sometimes you were like, how am I going to get an inspiration point to use later? So I think that's a nice addition.
Yeah, a lot more options with it.
Yeah, it's more versatile.
And the only thing I could say that's kind of at first was off for me was as the game master, you don't really roll. So, I mean, I like rolling dice in front, in front of the player, but this takes all that off me, and all I'm doing is narrating and kind of next, move the game forward, next you take your turn. And with the player rolling, then it's also on them if they roll or fail to save themselves. I didn't do it, your dice did it, not my dice.
Yeah.
So I think the next thing would be is to actually play a long full length campaign or adventure, and see how.
I would be down for that with my ship of female pirates, all female crew.
Well, I was also going to say one of the things to make it a little bit less deadly at first and a little bit more survivable would be just to have max hit points when you begin, and go from there.
We did a little bit both ways, and it was definitely rougher because some of my characters, rolled a 1. And you don't get a lot of bonuses in the beginning of the game to any of your stats for the most part. So I think out of 6 characters I rolled, only 1 had more than a +1. So, and lots of them had minuses. So yeah, it definitely made a big difference when we did the max hit points.
Yeah, but like I said, it would be kind of the test to put it into actual play. And, well, more so actual play and play out a campaign, not just a small adventure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So overall, our verdict is we thought it was a pretty good system.
Yeah.
And enjoyable. We look forward to playing more. So until next time, keep gaming.